Welcome to the Forge Your Future podcast, brought to you by East Central Educational Service Center, located in Newcastle, Indiana. We proudly provide service, support, and collaboration to 14 counties and 39 member districts.
At ECESC, we believe that students' strengths and interests are a blueprint to forging a future of success and impact, and we are on a journey to provide support and collaboration to schools as they implement career-connected learning for all students.
As part of this mission, we are here today to celebrate the amazing educators who help the students of East Central Indiana dream big dreams and achieve more than they thought possible.
Their work inspires us each day, and we want to lift up their stories and the stories of the students they are impacting and serving. Welcome to the Forge Your Future podcast, brought to you by East Central Educational Service Center, located in Newcastle, Indiana. We proudly provide service, support, and collaboration to 14 counties and 39 member districts in East Central Indiana. One of our goals here at ECESC is to celebrate the amazing educators who help the students of East Central Indiana dream more, believe more, and achieve more than they ever thought possible. Your work as educators inspires us each day, and we want to lift up your stories and the stories of the students you are impacting and serving. My name is Pat Haney, Executive Director at East Central Educational Service Center, and I am joined today by our co-host and colleague, Lindsay Laverne. Lindsay, how are you today?
I'm doing well, thanks. Glad to be here.
Well, Lindsay and I are very honored to be joined by the superintendent of Northeastern Wayne Schools, Dr. Matthew Hicks. Dr. Hicks, welcome to the podcast, and thanks for being with us.
Thank you, guys. I'm really looking forward to the conversation and having a chance to lift up the good work that's happening here at Northeastern and the great work that you guys do as a service center to support all of us.
Well, let's dive right in for our listeners. Just give us a little bit of background information about your district. Tell us about Northeastern Wayne Schools. Where are you located? Who are your students? And what's your district all about?
We are a small rural school district that happens to be nestled about 6 miles north of Richmond, Indiana. And that 6 miles sort of translates into beautiful pastoral farmland. And that is mostly what comprises our school district: farmland, residential, and some lovely businesses, to include a pet lodging place and a funeral home. So we are very small, but we work really hard to give our students a great opportunity because we partner with a lot of our neighbors. We partner with you guys. We really are fortunate that our geography gives us an opportunity to do some things that we might not be able to do otherwise.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, Dr. Hicks, continue.
No, we're there's 1,270 or so students here. We're about 89 to 90 teaching faculty. And we are a place that really cares about its students. Our vision is that we are a nurturing family where each night belongs, grows, and contributes. And our board authored that a few years ago, more as a reflection of the way that our teaching staff behaves than an aspirational goal. They really wanted to capture, what do we do well here? And we really love our kids. We take care of them to the best of our ability, and we want to see them grow and become great members of our community or whatever community they choose to live in as an adult.
Yeah, that is awesome, Dr. Hicks, and I can testify, having visited your district and seen that mission and vision in action. So kind of speaking of the mission and vision, what would be maybe a specific example of a recent student success that really highlights that mission and vision for your district?
We've been really fortunate to have some students come through who are just exceptional academically, but with great character and high aspiration. So our valedictorian a couple years ago graduated and is studying at Oklahoma State. And she is having a tremendous experience out there. She was home recently, and I said, "Hey, what are you up to?" And she's getting ready to consider law school, but she's going out to Washington, D.C. for an internship this summer. And it's just fascinating to see her the lengths that she is able to go to in her career as a result of her roots here at Northeastern. She's just having a tremendous success story, and it'll be really exciting to see whether she winds up practicing law somewhere. She's very interested in policy, so she may become a policy wonk out in DC. But I can't imagine that she won't be successful wherever she is. And a lot of that is due to the way that this community nurtured her and has cared for her and continues to root for her as she goes on her journeys, if you will.
Yeah, that's really cool. When you said belong, grow, and contribute, those are the words, right?
That's correct.
That to me just really, that feels like family. Like that feels like a goal that a family would have for its members, for everybody to feel that sense of belonging, and then to grow and then come back and contribute. So I think that those things, speak to what you just said, that she was able to really find her strengths and find her interests to then go out in the world and start making it happen. That's just so cool.
Well, her family is exceptional, and we were lucky to have her and her siblings here, and her family, and that's one of many. We're very fortunate. We have great families here, and our teaching staff really, the way that they root for students and care for students is just extraordinary.
Okay. So let's talk about a few other things that you have going on at Northeastern Wayne right now. What else are we going to celebrate for you today? What other exciting things do you have going on?
Well, I really want to highlight a couple things that we have done in tandem with the service center, because it's hard for folks to conceptualize what an impact the East Central Service Center has on its member districts, as long as the member districts follow up on the opportunities. The first one, and the one that has really been transformational, and unfortunately our iRead data is still embargoed, but as of this recording, I can't share it yet. But our elementary principal and our previous assistant superintendent worked together to join the literacy cadre, which is actually managed and housed at the service center. And we have had good literacy scores previously. We moved from good to great this year. And that transformation happened as a result of the involvement of the literacy coaches from through the cadre, both from the service center. And we were very fortunate when we hired our literacy coach locally that she is incredibly talented and has a breadth of experience and is a heck of a learner. So she has really just devoured the training through the literacy cadre and has been in a position to convey that to our primary teachers. And our primary teachers, to their credit, have been asked to radically change the way that they instruct literacy. And despite some early hesitancy on their part, because if you've been teaching literacy one way for your whole career, and you've had success, that's kind of the nefarious nature of this. If you've done it the way that you've always done it and you've been successful, it's really hard to embrace a change because you're afraid that it won't produce the results that you're accustomed to. And our folks were brave and collaborative and vulnerable, and they worked really hard to changed the way that we instruct using the science of reading. And it's unbelievable how they talk about the change at the end of the year compared to the beginning of the year. They really feel like they are on top of this now. Our data shows that they have changed something. I mean, it is a good change in terms of student outcomes, and one thing I can talk about is it was so many students that were able to pass that we did not have to offer summer school this year for the first time in a very long time, um, because there are a select few kids that didn't pass, and we will be able to give them help next year in the school year to the point that they should pass the first time around in the fall. So it is hard to convey in a podcast what radical change this has had, but the byproduct is it has reinforced our PLC structure and helped folks understand that if we lean into how we talk about student data, how we talk about our own technique and what we're working on, it really has this a rising tide lifts all ships effect, and it's just been a real joy to watch it happen. So in addition
Yeah,
to that,
absolutely. And Dr. Hicks,
oh,
yeah,
you go ahead, Pat.
Dr. Hicks, I was just going to share real quickly. Yeah, on our side, hearing from our training support specialists, I think it just speaks volumes to the culture of your district, and obviously with the literacy cadre work in your elementary school, for teachers to be willing to take those risks, to feel safe to take those risks. And really to be vulnerable in terms of working with a literacy coach and with additional outside supports, and with new curricular resources that can sometimes cause people to feel initially uncertain and unsuccessful. So kudos to your district, to your teachers, to your leadership, for those great just those great accomplishments in terms of literacy instruction.
I really want to commend my administrative team at the elementary as well.
Mm-hmm.
Both Tierney Stevenson and Jen O'Brien, as principal and assistant principal, have led this change in literacy, and in a lot of ways had to hold the line during that early skittish period where it would have been really more socially acceptable to just relent. And their ability to say, we believe that this is going to pay off, we believe this is the best thing for kids, really is a testament to their leadership.
Just as we think about high school redesign efforts in our states, and a big piece of that is developing those high quality work-based learning experiences. I'm excited to hear a little bit about your work in providing those opportunities to students, and what you are particularly looking forward to as you shift into the upcoming school year.
So we really have been fortunate to have some great partnerships over the last couple years, honestly. So for the last 2 years, two things have been happening concurrently behind the scenes that will bear fruit in the fall. And the first one is a partnership between us, the Indiana Manufacturing Coalition, INMAC, through Purdue University. Lisa Deck is the liaison from INMAC that we've worked with, and Hill's Pet. Pam Fisher has led the way for Hill's Pet. But we are very excited that in the fall we will roll out what we are calling the Pet Academy. And it is a partnership between us and Hills, with INMAC providing support and Ivy Tech as a partner providing dual credit. That is an academy model similar to the 4T and other academies that we've seen around the state and around the country. It will be an opportunity for students to have hands-on learning both here on campus and at the Hills facility, where they will learn the ins and outs of being part of one of the most robust and successful manufacturing fields in our area, which is the production of pet food, dog food, cat food, exotic pet food, which I didn't realize was also happening here. When I think about exotic, boy, Wayne County, Indiana has some exotic. So what I will tell you is that partnership, we've really done some great groundwork with those groups, and we've had some students take the early phases of this academy to the point that we will have some students whose second semester of this year will be able to do some work-based learning at the factory. And when they graduate, they will probably have an opportunity to work on the shift. But the goal is that 3 years hence, when our graduates graduate, they are ready to be to move seamlessly onto the production line at Hills, because they've already been through all of the early employee training, and they will have a background knowledge that it would take to work there. But I think Hills is really excited because if they have employees who are that young and start that far ahead, then they can fill some other needs that they have in terms of leadership and facility maintenance, like the nuance of what it takes to keep these highly mechanized production lines running is so sophisticated that you have to have somebody who's willing to spend the time on it. And time is what you get as an advantage if you hire someone when they're 19 or 18 turning 19, and you can have them work for you for a long period of time. We're really excited to see our kids have this opportunity. And the thing that is also true, even if they come through and it turns out to be a bust for them, they don't want to work in the pet food industry per se, there's other manufacturing in the area, and they will have some OSHA certifications and some other pieces that would also help them find a job there. And as I learned in my time in agriculture, my first job was detasseling corn, Pat, and there's a reason I don't grow corn, Lindsay. I learned at a very young age that my love affair with corn was culinary in nature only. And that was an important lesson for me to learn. So I think sometimes we view kids who try these sorts of things and they don't wind up working in that field as a failure. And I would tell you, it's one of the best gifts we can give children, to try something on and to see if it fits. And if it doesn't fit, to say, hey, that's okay. We've got some other outfits you can try on. It's no big deal. So,
and either way, they're building those employability skills
absolutely,
that are transferable to anything in their future.
Absolutely. It is. We're really excited. It will have the ability to impact many of our kids. And we are a school district that is almost 50% free and reduced. And that means that we have some students who are growing up in homes that are at or near or below the poverty line. And these types of jobs at Hills put you well above the median income in Wayne County. And so it can have this generationally transformational impact on some of these students and their families. And so we're really excited about the opportunity and what it could mean for some of our students. I also would be remiss if I didn't mention that we are also partnering with Randolph Eastern. Neil Adams from Randolph Eastern has been a part of this process, and students from Randolph Eastern will come down for the academy, and we really appreciate their partnership in helping us think through what it means from just a logistical standpoint, and making sure that our values align and that we're giving students opportunities that they wouldn't have otherwise. They've been great partners.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I'm hoping we'll see more and more of those partnerships in our region. I think that employers are starting to really latch onto this idea of growing their own and recognizing that, maybe instead of just focusing on the 19 and 20-year-olds in my community who I can hire, what if I started a couple years earlier and planted some trees where by the time they're 20, they have the training that I want, and I'm not having to spend money on onboarding new people all the time. I think we're starting to see mindsets shift there a little bit. So looking forward to seeing that more, I hope.
I share that hope, and if you're listening and you're a Wayne County employer that's interested in partnering with us, feel free to reach out. My contact information is on the website, and we are looking for new partners because we want to give our kids a chance to try things. We really believe it's critical that they get some exposure to some of these environments while they're still in the sort of safety and structure of their K-12 experience, because I don't know what it was like for you guys, but I had a lot of part-time jobs when I was growing up, and I got to try a lot of things. And there's a reason that I don't work in a toy store anymore. There's a reason I'm not in agriculture anymore. I had to try some things before I knew, hey, this is my gifts and talents lie elsewhere. And it turns out, the rhyme scheme of a sonnet is one of my strengths. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you, Dr. Hicks. There's a reason I'm not a commercial glazer as well. So, um, with that in mind, what as you think about these experiences that students can have in the workforce while they are still, in their high school career, how does that kind of connect to the vision of a graduate that your district has been developing? Anything else that you kind of want to unpack or mention there, Dr. Hicks?
Well, we were very fortunate to be part of the 3E grant, and those were the big E's, which were employability, enlistment, and enrollment. Correct? Those are the correct 3 E's. Lindsay, you can correct me if I didn't land that right. So we partnered really with Lindsay and the service center on a grant the last couple of years that was really exploratory in nature. What can you grow in the next couple years so that students have a viable way to try some new things, for lack of a better term. And what came out of that for us was we had a lot of talent in our non-certified staff, our classified staff, that we were underutilizing. And so starting in the fall, our student resource officer, Ken Powell, who had a 30 plus year law enforcement career and is retiring as SRO here at Northeastern, is going to turn right back around and be in the classroom for us. We're going to get him, we've already got a local permit for him, and we'll work on getting him licensed through the state so that he can teach criminal justice classes. And our kids could not be more excited. We thought we were going to trial this with one section, and I think we're up to 3 sections that the kids have signed up for, partially because they're interested in law enforcement, no question, but mostly because they know him and they know what kind of guy he is, and they just want to hear his stories. I mean, this guy is an amazing human who is going to turn around and teach criminal justice for us. The other area that we have struggled to find a good entry point for has been the medical career. And I don't know if you guys know this, but we have a school nurse. Most schools have a school nurse. And we approached our school nurse and said, hey, how would you feel about teaching a medical careers course, the principles of medical career? And she went off like a Roman candle. She was so excited. She was like, yes, of course. I've always wanted to be a teacher. I went into nursing because I didn't think I could be a teacher, which is ironic to me because I'm in teaching because I don't think I could be a nurse. So she is going to also teach I think it's 2 sections of this Intro to Medical Careers course. And our kids, we have a large hospital. Reed Hospital is here, and they are always clamoring for all sorts of folks, whether it be certified nursing assistants or certified medical assistants, nurses, and sort of all of the gamut of medical careers. So we're really excited to see how these pilots go and what it means for our kids, which of these we'll be able to build out into hopefully a graduation pathway. It's just been really exciting iterating these things with these people that are already part of our family. We know that they're great with kids, and they get to take their talent and utilize it in a new way. So we're really excited.
Yeah. What I love about that is that circles back around to your vision that you shared at the beginning, that vision's not only for your students, you've given new opportunities for those new teachers now, your other staff, to belong, grow, and contribute as well. Like you're giving them the opportunity to feel empowered to contribute in a new way. That is so exciting to me.
Well, we're excited, and stay tuned. We'll see how it goes.
Well,
Yeah.
Dr. Hicks, you mentioned you mentioned your IRE data that you can't mention yet earlier when we were talking about the literacy cadre work. I'm curious, when you think about your high school and key data points there, are you starting to see an impact in terms of student engagement and really endurance as they move through high school?
We've been really fortunate that our elementary, middle school, and high school teams, as you think about a student's K-12 experience, according to the state of Indiana, that culminating event is graduating. We're working really hard on a lot of ancillary tasks, i.e. trying to help kids figure out what they do when they grow up, which is great. It's very important. But for most of our careers, the state of Indiana said, we need you to graduate children. That is your mandate as a school district. And I really have to say that our group here at Northeastern has had the ability to take a student and get them across that graduation stage. We have, for at least 5 of the last 6 years, been able to graduate every student who was physically in our building to start the year, his or her senior year. Every single student who shows up on day 1 of their senior year, those students graduate. Now, we've had students who move away, and we don't know whether they graduate or not, so we get it kind of is a ding on our data. So if you look at our state graduation rate, it is less than 100%. Some years it's 98, some years it's 96. We had a year after COVID where it was 92. But what I will tell you is the truth of it is, if you stay with us and you continue to work with us and you show up through your senior year, our teachers will get you across that stage. And it is such a labor of love. We see teachers, especially in the spring of that senior year. I don't know if you guys know, there is a condition that impacts seniors the second semester of their senior year. It's the true pandemic known as celiac.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
Thank you for bringing that to our attention.
Yeah, I was sure you guys didn't know. I feel like it's a public service announcement. But
you heard it first here, folks.
But it sets in hard, and our faculty works really hard to combat it. And you'll see teachers after school redoing tests, trying to get kids to finish up their work so that they can get across that stage. And it really is a celebration. When we get to commencement, it is just an amazing feeling to know that we have given it our all, and we have students that are successful as a result of it. And oftentimes that graduation rate is attributed to the high school, and I understand why that is. But the fact of the matter is that our whole continuum really, really works hard. We have an exceptional middle school, and we have an exceptional elementary, and it feeds into our high school. And we're very fortunate to have talent up and down the grade levels and to have these outcomes. It's really a blessing.
Yeah, that's awesome. And, so Dr. Hicks is going forward here. I think the appropriate phrase might be shifting gears, because I think we're going to talk about some innovation in your transportation department as well.
Yeah, I don't know what other careers you had, but if transitioning for copy was one of your careers, Pat, I would not be surprised. That's excellent. We were okay. Let me start with our operations fund, which is where the story really starts for us. When you hear that a rural school district is going to get 6 electric buses, oftentimes that feels like an aspirational change, or global warming, or whatever you want to say. But the fact of the matter is, our operations fund is so tight due to the way that our assessed valuation works, that when we saw this grant to buy 6 buses through the federal government that happened to be electric, but were subsidized to the point that it was a half price bus compared to what we had to buy, it was a no-brainer for us just on the initial cost alone. So these buses cost anywhere around $440,000. They're very expensive electric buses, and you have to put in infrastructure. We had to have a new transformer laid, and we had to put 3 chargers in. They're 2 bus chargers. But at the end of all of that, we have come out ahead just on capital outlay. Like we did not lose on the initial purchase. And there's a chance that we win the economic battle over time in terms of what it takes to actually run these buses. And so we're only a semester into this truly economic experiment for us. But if it comes out as a winner in that buying electricity is cheaper than buying diesel fuel, then we will have saved the district substantial money. And if it comes out that that is not a good way to invest your money, then we will look to divest ourselves of these buses as soon as the grant period is over, which I believe is 5 years. We have to have them, and they will retain their initial $440,000 capital should we have to divest ourselves of them. So yes, we have electric buses. They are eerily quiet. I've never heard the springs on a bus be louder than anything else. They're usually in concert with the cacophony of sound that happens from the engine. And when a bus pulls up and all you can hear are the springs, it sounds like somebody's jumping up and down on the bed. It's weird. So that it has been, we have learned so much about navigating the federal grant making scene and purchasing these electric buses, getting the infrastructure run so that they will happen. We have had great partnerships with Whitewater Valley REMC, who is our energy provider, and with Hoosier Energy, which is their partner in grant writing and making sure that the whole state is taking advantage of sort of these electrification grants and other utility grants that are out there. And it has been a fascinating experiment thus far, and we are continuing. We were just awarded another $400,000 worth of grants that we are conditionally accepting, but we get the chance to watch our data for another year before we have to decide if we're going to buy those extra buses. So by then we'll really know, is this a winner or is this a loser for us specifically from a financial standpoint? And if it's not, we can return that award and not take that money or buy those buses. So we're really in a unique position to have done it. It's a third of our driving fleet is now electric, and there's some implementation, issues that happen with anything new you try. But on the whole, those buses have run most of this spring and have done their job, and they're quiet, and the heat works, and the air conditioning works, and all the things you need a bus to do thus far it is doing. So
okay, well, we might have to check back in with you on that in a couple of years to see how it's going. I'm sure
Yeah.
there's lots of other people watching. Since you're an early adopter, they're waiting to see if they need to make the leap themselves.
I think a lot of people are rooting for us. I think a lot of people are rooting against us, and we would all be speculating if our team, and I really want to give kudos to our transportation director Steve Burge and our mechanic Stephen Berger, who, when I approached them with this idea, like, hey, we can get these buses on the cheap. Are you willing to try to service them and work through all the hurdles it'll take to do this? They were like, listen, if it's going to save us money, let's do it. So they've been on board since jump. It has been considerable time on their part to work through these things. And I hope that they are rewarded with seeing the types of savings. And I hope that we are in a position to talk positively about this for years to come. But there's a chance we'll be a cautionary tale. We'll see how it goes.
Awesome. Well, we are going to wrap up here. One last question that we always want to ask our guests is, what are you recommending right now? This can be personal or professional, book, blog, other podcasts, something you've picked up, a tool, whatever it is. What are you recommending right now?
So my kids have grown up as fans of the Star Wars universe. And if you're not in this universe, there are all sorts of spin-off cartoons, and there's an entire industry of spin-off novels that have sort of expanded the traditional canon of the Star Wars universe. And the Bad Batch series on Disney Plus is something that our kids have been watching for the last 4 years or so. And they just wrapped the series. And my son and I, my oldest son actually, and I are the only ones who sort of have stuck it through for every episode of that series. And I will tell you, sometimes the Star Wars universe gives you too much of a Hollywood ending. And if you ever saw Rogue One, it was like they decided to make up for all of that once. But the Bad Batch has really been this wonderful snack of Star Wars-ness, and they really wrapped it nice. And so if you're a Star Wars fan and you're looking for non-movie fare, I would highly recommend the Bad Batch, and specifically their last season where they wrap up the series, and they tied it up with a nice bow in a way that is rare. They landed that plane well.
Well, Dr. Hicks, thank you for that recommendation. That is not one that I have heard of before, and definitely going to have to check that out. I have a couple Star Wars fans in my family as well. Well, Dr. Hicks, we want to take a moment. We just want to thank you for your leadership and your partnership with the Service Center over the years. And we appreciate you taking time and lifting up the great work at Northeastern Wayne Schools as well. And really appreciate your time and joining us today.
Well, thank you both for the hard work you do for us as members of the Service Center. And thank you both, honestly, for your thought partnership. You know, you both have sort of helped nudge us and guide us and continue to be faithful partners in this work. So thanks to you both.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Well, once again, each time we come to you with the Forge Your Future podcast, we want to take time to celebrate the amazing educators of East Central Indiana and the impact that they have on students. Their work continues to inspire us each and every day, and we want to continue to lift up their stories and the stories they are the stories of the students they are serving and impacting. So we thank you for joining us on the Forge Your Future podcast. Have a wonderful day. Thank you for listening to the Forge Your Future podcast. We hope that this glimpse into the bright future of East Central Indiana inspires you and brings you hope.
We have the privilege to work with these future makers every day and want to share their stories throughout Indiana and beyond.
If you enjoyed today's podcast, please share it with your circle and let's keep the conversation going.
You can connect with us on LinkedIn, Facebook, X, and on our website.
Until next time, remember that your strengths and interests are a blueprint to your future of success and impact.